The war between Athens, leader of the Delian League of city-states and allied colonies, and Sparta, leader of the Peloponnesian League, pitted a formidable navy against one of history's most lethal infantry forces. Prior to this conflict, Athens had defeated a Persian invasion force in the legendary Battle of Marathon. A decade later, a much larger Persian invasion force suffered significant setbacks at Thermopylae, where a small contingent of Spartans fought to the last man. Subsequently, at Salamis, the Persians faced a major naval defeat against the Athenian fleet, and finally, at Plataea, the Achaemenid forces were defeated on land, ultimately abandoning the campaign. Over the next half-century, both Athens and Sparta pursued an anti-Persian policy, supporting activities against the Achaemenids in the eastern Mediterranean, fostering a tense peace between these two powers. In an effort to combat the Persians at sea, the Athenians formed the Delian League. However, as Athens exerted increasing control over league members, it transformed the coalition into an empire, amassing wealth from these client states and becoming the envy of the Hellenistic world. Soon, they raised a fleet of 300 trireme warships, each manned by 170 professional rowers. Corinth had been the dominant maritime power before the Persian Wars, but as Athens grew in power, its navy surpassed Corinth's fleet, reaching a ratio of 3-1. This led Athens to visit rebellion upon its colonies and invade their trade routes, sparking a series of small conflicts spanning 15 years known as the First Peloponnesian War. In this conflict, Sparta opposed Athens, defeating the rival forces in a closely contested showdown. Meanwhile, Athens continued to expand its naval power. Amid this period, Athens began reconstructing an incredible wall connecting the city to the port of Piraeus, allowing it to be fully supplied by sea even under siege. Despite a peace that lasted less than anticipated, hostility between Athens and Corinth persisted. In 471 BCE, Corinth successfully persuaded Sparta and the Peloponnesian League to declare war on Athens, seeking to end its burgeoning empire. The initial phase of the Second Peloponnesian War, commonly known as the Archidamian War, saw Sparta employing a scorched earth policy around Athens in an attempt to provoke a decisive battle. However, Athens anticipated this Spartan tactic and organized a continuous flow of grain shipments from Egypt, the Aegean Sea, and the Black Sea. Initially, the Athenians seemed to maintain the upper hand in this asymmetric war of attrition, meticulously planned for years by the Athenian statesman Pericles. However, a devastating plague, carried by contaminated grain shipments, swept through the overcrowded city, claiming the lives of approximately 1 in 4 Athenians, including Pericles and his sons. As a result, mercenaries refused to fight for Athens, and even the Spartans ceased campaigning near Attica due to fear of contracting the plague. Ironically, Athens' massive blockade of the Peloponnese protected Sparta from receiving any contaminated grain. Surviving Athenians adopted a much more aggressive tactic, increasing raids and establishing fortified outposts along the Peloponnesian coast. They also encouraged the Helots, Spartan slaves outnumbering them 10-1, to flee to these outposts. This compelled Sparta to abandon the siege of Athens and focus its forces on its territory. However, this phase of the war concluded with the flawed Peace of Nisches, which never fully took effect. Both sides continued to attack each other through client states. Athenians devised a plan they believed would change the course of the war: the conquest of the incredibly wealthy city-state of Syracuse in Sicily. Led by the charismatic Athenian statesman Alcibiades, the expedition ended in utter failure for Athens, resulting in the loss of over 10,000 hoplites and 3/4 of its navy. While the ships could be rebuilt, the 30,000 professional rowers were irreplaceable. Additionally, Sparta seized 20,000 Athenian slaves from the silver mines, forcing Athens to extract tribute from its vassals. This sparked a major revolt in Athens, marking the war's final phase. Furthermore, Alcibiades, fearing retaliation after the Sicilian failure, betrayed Athens and fought for Sparta, which began receiving significant funds from the Persian Empire, viewing the Athenian Empire as a greater threat. With this money, Sparta built its fleet and, joined by Corinthian allies, decisively defeated the Athenian navy at Aegospotami. At this point, Athens, now devoid of a navy, was besieged by Sparta and quickly surrendered. However, Spartan hegemony over the Greek world would be short-lived, as their most prized resource, the Spartan warriors, had become too scarce to maintain an empire. Undoubtedly, this fratricidal war left Greece greatly weakened. Nevertheless, as the saying goes, every cloud has a silver lining. And decades later, Philip of Macedonia, father of Alexander the Great, would conquer and unify Greece. If you want to know how that process unfolded, subscribe to see it in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like to let me know. Thanks to all the supporters of this channel for helping it thrive. See you in the next video.